So most of us, when we talk about making a cup of tea, what we're talking about is putting the herb into a strainer, or you may have a tea bag. You see here that I do both. I tend to mix my teas a lot. And we pour some hot water, some boiling water over it, and we let that sit and steep for 10 to 15 minutes. When we prepare our tea this way, it's called doing an infusion, where we're infusing the water with the chemical compounds from the herbs. And this works well when we have things that are readily dissolvable, like flowers, leaves, and stems. But today we're going to be working with celery seed. So anytime you have seeds, roots, bark, even berries, anything that's a little harder to get to, they usually have some kind of outer covering, like a skin or a hull or bark. For those things, you need to go a little bit harder than an infusion, and for that we call it making a decoction. And the purpose of a decoction is the same as it is for our infusion. You want to get the medicine out of the herb. So I wanted to show you today how to make a decoction. It's actually a pretty simple, straightforward process, but I know when I first discovered that making a cup of tea didn't just mean making a cup of tea as I knew it. It was a little bit intimidating, so I felt that maybe if I put a video to accompany the post, it might be less intimidating for you. So when I do my decoctions, I usually do a quart to a gallon at a time, depending on how much I expect to drink over the next 2 to 3 days. And we're working with celery seed. You can see how small the seeds are. And we're going to use almost 1/4 of a cup in order to make our quart of tea. So you're going to let your water come to a hard boil first, a rolling boil. I have I would say about 1.5 quarts of water here. Remember that as you make the tea, a lot of the water is going to boil out, so you want to put a little bit more. This is the jar that I'm going to put it in. It's a quart-size mason jar. So I'm going to put in about 1/4 cup. Actually, this isn't quite 1/4 cup. It's quite a lot. It's going to make a very strong decoction. In the end, you'll see that it'll be a really dark tea and very strong tasting. So we're just going to let it boil, I would say, for probably about 5 minutes, and then we're going to turn the heat down a little bit, and then we're just going to let it simmer for another 20 minutes to get all the good medicine out. So now I've done the initial boil of about 5 minutes on the tea, so I'm going to turn the heat down from high to about a low medium, and I'm going to let that go for another 20 minutes. It's been 20 minutes, and you can see now we have a nice golden, pretty dark actually, decoction here of the celery seed. All the seed is reduced down to the bottom of the pot. So I'm just pulling it up here so you can see it a bit. I'm going to turn off the stove and let this sit for a while to cool before I put it into my mason jar. And you can drink the tea hot, that's perfectly fine, but you can also drink it cold. The rule of thumb is that you don't want to make any more tea than it takes you 3 to 4 days to drink. That way the active compounds in the tea remain alive during that time. Beyond 4 days, all of the active chemicals, they're pretty much dead. So in our case with the celery seed, we're going to be drinking about 2 teacupfuls per day. Not a tea mug full, but a teacup full. So this should last you 3 to 4 days. Okay, so here we are. We're all cooled down now. And I'm just going to pour this into the mason jar. You can strain it now as you pour it into the mason jar, or you can strain it when you go from the mason jar to your teacup. I usually, when I'm going from the pot to the mason jar, I just pour it straight in, just because since there's just so much area on the lip of the pot, I just tend to make a mess if I try to strain it. So it's easier for me to just go ahead and pour it in directly and not worry about any seeds that come. You see I spilled a little bit, but that's a lot better than how I usually do. Usually it's all over the place. So you know, when you get ready to pour it from the jar into your cup, you can use a tea strainer. You know, you can put a strainer on your cup and strain it through into your cup. Okay, so that's how you make a decoction. You see how dark that is with the celery seed. This is a very strong decoction, definitely a medicinal dose. So I hope this helps you with knowing the difference between an infusion and a decoction and understanding how to make a decoction. Thanks a lot. Bye.